We are back. Baschamania 200. The 200th episode of Baschamania, we're going to dive into content and brand later in the episode. But this is episode 200. Got my guy back on the podcast, Beau Bartlett. How are you, Beau?
I'm chilling. 200, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm very grateful to have had the podcast for so long. And consistency is a big thing with content creation. We're going to dive into it in a little bit. I was thinking about doing some kind of big special for 200. I'm like, you know what? It's just another episode. And I think for me, one of the things that I was thinking about the most with this episode is the importance of content and brand and consistency. So I thought you were the perfect guest to come on. Before we do get started, this podcast is brought to you by Attack. Video game stats meets real life training. Find out what your attack rating is. Put in the work. Get closer to your goals. You can go on the Attack social, attack.app, atac.app. Download the app. You can compete with all sorts of freak athletes and see where you stack up with strength, endurance, mentality, agility, flexibility. Awesome, awesome stuff. Download the Attack app. It's in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. But I don't even know where to start with you. Because as we we're just kind of talking about, so what we really should have done is the day of Final X, we were at a coffee shop for like 2.5 hours. We should have just put the mics on and just put it out.
There's some good stuff there.
It might have been easier to just like edit out a few things, but keep the whole, we can leave in the good stuff, like Max Dean not getting his breakfast until he left an hour and a half after the fact. I had forgotten I ordered a breakfast sandwich until it came, and that was one of the most amazing breakfast sandwiches I've had in a long time. Like egg, bacon, avocado, which I never get on a breakfast sandwich. Yeah, Newark is for hustlers. All right, let's start with Bo Nickel this weekend real quick. Bo Nickel, I'm not a huge MMA guy. I talk about that all the time, but I pay the stupid $80 to watch him fight, and it's over in 40 seconds. And I'm both happy and sad. It's like, I go to bed right after his fight. I don't know. I'm not a big MMA guy. But seeing his fight, and granted, this guy got thrown into the mix at the last minute. Props for him taking the fight. But Bo going out there and showing people that he's not just a good wrestler. He isn't just going to submission you. He's going to knock you out. Like, Bo knows. B.O. Bo knows.
Yeah.
Did you watch the fight?
I was asleep, but I watched the replay. It was really easy to find that 38-second replay after.
Really easy.
But I think it's pretty cool because you watch guys in a wrestling match. I mean, the craziest thing that can really happen is you hold a guy on their back for 3 seconds. And that's cool. Like for the wrestling match, it's cool. But for someone watching it outside of wrestling, it's not. You're like, okay, he held, the stigma. It's like, oh, you're taking a guy down, you're pinning him on his back. Like there's not much to it.
Right.
But knock a guy out with your fist, like there's no question. I don't care who you're doing. Like, and he's also fighting like a professionally trained fighter, a guy who is trying to do this. And you can just knock a guy out like that with your hands. That's crazy.
And he's also fighting a guy who, for all intents and purposes, has nothing to lose. Like you're going out there as a monster underdog. And this guy's like a meatball. Like he is jacked. He looks like he could throw some power behind his hands and throw a couple punches, and you never know what happens. So the fact that Bo goes out there and shows people like, yeah, listen, I'm going to come at you from every angle. His next fight's going to be super interesting. I don't think we see it for a while now, but his next fight's going to be interesting because it's like the hype is going to continue to grow. And now that he has a knockout along with the first round submissions, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I've also seen, I don't know much about like betting lines and stuff like that. I've never done any of that, but I hear people talking online. I see it. They're like, man, I might as well bet like $10 on whoever Bo Nickel is fighting every time because of these odds.
I know it's crazy.
Like I want Bo to win, right? It's just I see what the other people are saying. I understand from
well, that's why I told a couple people this week the line that I really liked that was like for somebody who wanted to play it safe was over under 1.5 rounds. Because no matter what, that fight was going to be over in the first round. Bo more than likely was going to knock him out or submission him or do something in the first round. if that guy did anything crazy, it's only going to be in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to catch him with the right hook in the second round. You're not lasting that long with Bo Nickel. You're just not. So yeah, awesome fight. I can't wait. He's the man. All right, I want to talk content and brand a bit, but we haven't really had a show with you on since the season. So I want to talk about, even though the college season, July is like, last season feels so long ago and next season feels so far away. So it's kind of like the college wrestling abyss. But you did have a fun season, and I'm sure the Penn State fans want to hear you talk about it a little bit. So let's talk. I guess we'll start with the fact that this season you dropped down to 141. How did that feel overall? I think as most onlookers would say, you looked great. You looked kind of back to you. Being up at 49 seemed like it was a placeholder, and now you're like back in your own.
Yeah, I was just always a 41 pounder, right? I was always a 41 pounder. I don't think anyone questioned that. When I was wrestling 49, I might have been a 33 pounder the first year. No, like actually, I might have been a 33 pounder. I remember I would weigh a couple more pounds than Roman 2 years ago.
Wow.
And Nick was like 10 pounds bigger. Like, it was crazy. I was weighing like 144, 145, wrestling 149 the first year. That's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense. But hey, it was a free year. I wanted to get in there and wrestle. So no downside to that, really. Lowered some expectations for people. I got a lot of short-term haters.
Did nothing for the betting lines.
Yeah, I was actually similar on this. So I was just on vacation. We'll probably get back to this. And I was just walking my dog, and this guy outside, he's like, "Hey, are you a wrestler?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "In college?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Where? Penn State? Varsity?" Yeah. And he was like, he kind of had something. He's like, "What's your name?" I was like, "Bartlett." He's like, "You're the one that didn't place." And I was
like, "Oh my God."
I was like, that was like last, I got third this year. He's like, "Bro, really?" I have it on DVR. Like, he's the old guy, like old. He probably attended NCAA's like 1932.
Yeah.
But he's a big fan. He was like, I'll have to rewatch it. I was like, "Thanks for the support." And we talked a little bit, but that's how I'm known as to some people. So this season was a lot better than that, right? I felt a lot better. Confidence comes back, skills are showing, back to my natural weight. Everything's clicking, and I think being at my natural weight allowed me to feel more confident because I didn't feel like I was an underdog. So I feel good now, and I'm excited.
You only had 3 losses this year. You lost to Aliras, who went on to win it. You lost to Brock Hardy, and you lost close one to Real Woods.
Yeah.
What was your favorite win?
Okay, so here's the thing. Right now, I have 2 options to go with.
Because it's never what, like, the fans always go like big moment. They go with either like a Bryce Jordan win or, let's say your third place match in NCAA. Like, there's a lot of obvious ones, but it seems like there's also a lot of favorite matches that are often different sometimes in those moments.
So my 2 routes I can go with this. One, I can do what I would typically say, like the politically correct, every win is a good match.
No, we're not politically correct here.
That's what I would normally do. I would normally do that. But recently, with branding and content, trying to be genuine, trying to be authentic.
Yep.
So, like, full honesty, my favorite wins were the last 2 days of NCAAs. Those 2 right there. Hands down, because I wrestled the South Dakota guy the day before. I beat like 3-1.
Yeah,
then I
3-2.
3-2. Yeah, like it was close. And I majored him the next day. So that's mental. You don't learn new skills overnight. For me, that showed me that I was like, no, I'm that guy. And if I want to be that guy, I'm that guy.
Yep.
That's my dog. And then the second one would be I wrestled a high school teammate for 3rd and 4th. And
McNeil?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know he was your high school teammate.
A high school teammate. And so that was pretty cool for me.
I think I actually knew that, but forgot it.
And so I remember I remember I've looked back at the recording, and I remember I was telling jokes. I was sitting down in the chair. I was having a good time. I was thinking, this is the last match of the year. Let's just let it rip. It really is that it's now or never. Why not? I'm having fun. And I remember him on the other side. They're like slapping him. They were all pacing back and forth and staring at each other. And I would do something, and then they would copy me. If I clap their hands, they clap their hands. If you smack my back, they smack his back. I watched the recording. I'm like, dude, they're copying me over and over again. So just knowing that, I felt like they were playing catch up, and with the confidence I had from the last match, I was like, this is fun. To him, it's a fight. To me, it's a game. And I felt free. So those two matches right there, really, I felt happy.
Shout out McNeil, looked really good. He's wrestling the ranking series today. He got into the semis, and then he ran into Tumir Ochir, I think is how you pronounce his name, got tacked. But before that, he was looking great. Now Nick Lee needs to avenge that loss in the finals, which are in like 45 minutes. Well, 57, then a bronze, whatever. So we got some time. But yeah, he looked great. He beat Tar Heel teammate Clark.
Oh, that's actually interesting. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That's
cool. Those guys are like the senior world team reps, the Germany and Canada. That's really cool.
Yeah, and McNeil won 5-3. So it was a good match. It was a fun match. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense though. That the last day of NCAAs, it's always interesting because there's a lot of fan talk when matches happen on the backside. Like, does it have the same weight? I remember when Nick beat Yanni in the Olympic trials, there was a lot of talk right after that of like, oh, but it's the backside. But it's always interesting because a lot of the matches that, first of all, you're both in the backside. It's not like one of you isn't. You know what I mean? It's like, but it was on the backside, I think is an irrelevant argument.
You're both on the same.
Right. Like you both are on the backside and you both wanted to win. So what do you think now is, I don't know if you've even started planning for next year yet, but it seems like you're right there contending for a title. You're obviously probably going to be ranked third going into the season. There's only a couple of guys above you. What do you think you have to do next year to be wrestling Saturday at 8 p.m. instead of 2 p.m.? Big difference from 2 to 8.
Oh yeah, it's a big difference. All right. So I've known this. I know I have to be exciting. I have to be an exciting wrestler. And I think I was trying to think of a goal that helps me reach all my goals. Like, what vehicle can I use to really get there? And I'm talking to some people, looking at matches I wrestled well, that I won, where I wrestled well and I lost. There's not too many matches. Obviously, people probably say this, but there's not too many matches that I wrestle well and lose. Like I lost 3 matches. I think I wrestled well in maybe half of one of those. And obviously, people say this, but you can just tell by the number of attacks I shot, how many times I established a tie, how many times I backed out, how long it took to get out. You can see, like, if you're wrestling well, obviously, there's going to be matches where both guys are wrestling really well, and you just have to wrestle a little bit better, capitalize on a mistake. But I know I have to be exciting. I'm hitting acrobatics. Yeah, I'm hitting tumbling out here. I'm doing crazier things. But on the mat, you're hitting a forward roll out of a shot, back roll, a cartwheel. You're doing these things, putting wrestlers in positions where I am more athletic than them, forcing those positions to happen. Austin Gomez, he was digging double underhooks and throwing guys and all that because that's his position. He was really good at that. Yanni's, he's getting people in clinches where he's spread out. He can scramble. Sasso's doing a similar thing. People are finding out what position. Spencer Lee gets on top and he just starts turning people. People are figuring out what their strongest position is, and they're getting to it consistently so that they can maximize their scoring potential. I figured out it's not one position for me, but it's anything that's an athletic position. You're on one foot, you're upside down, you're rolling, you're doing weird things that people just can't do. If we're there and we do it enough times, I will score more points than them. I'm confident in that. So if I do that every match, you score more points, you win.
And it seems like you're not really what's that?
And you score more points. The fans love it too. If you're doing crazy things.
100%. And that's what, we'll talk about the brand side in a minute, but like, it sounds like you're game planning too for yourself. It's funny watching, there's different levels and different, there's a time and a place. Like when Chance lost to Burroughs last year at Final X, he trained for a year for Jordan Burroughs. In college, it's a little bit different because you wrestled 30 matches this year, 26, 27 guys. Like you didn't wrestle too many of them more than once.
Mhm.
Does that help you where game planning for 30 different guys? It's hard to say, okay, I got to wrestle 30 guys next year, but Andrew Alira's might be in the finals or Real Woods might be in the finals. So, you know what I mean? Does that change at all?
Personally, I think there's some exciting matchups that are more exciting than others. Like, obviously, I want to wrestle really well, and I want to get matches back that I haven't won, right? Just to see where I've grown and, really get to my offense. And I'm excited. I get real passionate about that. Obviously, in life, you're not promised any do-overs, and things can happen, and still they're not even guaranteed, right? But we're all college wrestlers. We're all on the team. We're all in D1. We have schedules out. The odds are pushing us all together to where we will have a meeting, and that's really cool. But ultimately, that's kind of just a gauge. It's a day-to-day thing. I just want to be exciting every match, big moves, consistently, small moves, whatever. Literally just scoring. I don't want to win a 1-0 match.
Yeah.
I know how to do that.
Nobody wants you to win a 1-0 match. Nobody.
No one, yeah, but you ask most college wrestlers, like seriously, like they have the win's a win mentality. And a win is a win, but
a win is a win. They're not wrong, but nobody wants you.
No one wants you to do it. I want to be excited. People talk about growth of sport. Riding time, this is a whole different thing. Your riding time, you win a match 1-0, 2-0. People watching don't understand what's going on. You stall a guy out, he gets called for stalling 3-4 times, lose the match. No one wants to see that. Ultimate ride out, no one wants to see that. Old head wrestling want to see that. And I understand that's what you grew up with, but it's not exciting. You can do it better. So I think pushing the sport forward, I'll do my part. I'll be exciting. I'll do everything I can. I'll push it on social media. I'll be wrestling. And eventually I'll be branched outside of wrestling. But wrestling it's bigger than just me. It's bigger than just winning and losing. It's my art. It's my craft. So I'm going to go full force into it.
Speaking of excitement, 3-point takedowns. What was your reaction to that?
I love that. That's cool. I think initially the people that are better on neutral, they think, oh, I love it. And people that are maybe more mat wrestlers don't like it. But it could be exciting. I think this will be really exciting. The one issue, I think, every time a rule changes, it starts out either like good or bad. And then no matter what, you start to see some flaws. Whether it's inherently good or bad, there is always flaws. I've already thought of one situation in particular. If a guy's winning, let's see how many guys have to be. If a guy's on top and he's winning by 2 points and there's short time left and the bottom guy's trying to get away, and let's say there's like 20 seconds left, I'm wondering if there's going to be incident. They will happen. I'm wondering who will be the first obvious incident where someone is on top winning by like 2 points and they hold the wrestler on top of them as they're getting away to force a reversal. Or let's say they're up by 3 points. They force a reversal, so they have to give up 2 points. Then now the wrestler has to cut them again instead of just getting away and getting a takedown, which would be 4 points in total. Yeah. So it's pushing forward more action in wrestling. It's literally stalling. This is I was thinking about this like for a while. You know what I mean? If someone holds the person down and forces them to get a reversal and instead just get away because they wouldn't get as many if they're short time. So
I'm curious what the adaptation is going to be in real time when you're in a match and you're so used to, let's say, a 2-point takedown and you're keeping score in your head, or you get confused looking over the scoreboard because you forget. You don't gotta forget for very long. Let's say you get 2 takedowns and 2 escapes, and you know what I mean? Whether you're winning or losing, and you just forget for half a second. I'm wondering if that comes into play where somebody's like forgetting about the rule changes. It's going to take a little getting used to.
I also think people are going to start stalling earlier as soon as they get a lead. Because before, 2-1, you're still kind of wrestling. But if you're up 3-1, maybe they're stalling. 1 takedown. I think this is going to widen the gap on scoring averages for like individuals. The guys that kind of score here and there, I think they'll score less takedowns because they know they can get away with less because they're getting 3 points instead of 2. And the guys that are really scoring, it's going to blow it out the water. So maybe like mismatches where they're not similar skill level, you're going to get techs a lot quicker, right?
Well,
but I think, yeah.
Well, and that was another point I was going to say is that because sports fans, we talk about stuff that means absolutely nothing, has absolutely no bearing on anything, but we'll talk about it ad nauseum. One of those future discussion points is going to be next year. Do you see the Hodge race look different because the percentage of major point victories is up? Because if you're a top 10 guy, you're, like you just said, you're a guy who's scoring a lot. Now it's going to increase your margin of victory. So now do the Hodge guys see a boost, let's say a 10% boost in bonus victories?
I see what you're talking about. Definitely. I mean, the numbers, if they're wrestling just as well they've wrestled in the years past, like those top guys, and now they get more points for it. It's like you see like a freestyle scoring.
Yeah.
Match scores have gone up over time. I don't know. You can talk about style and all those things, but most simply, it's like we have a push out now.
Yeah.
Whereas before, way back then, takedowns are 2.
We need a push out in college.
Yeah, don't get me started. The feeds back is 4 instead of 3. Like, if you add more points should be scored. Should. Yeah. But folks, I think people will stall earlier on. Guys that don't want to get that extra point, keep scoring.
It's also going to be, from one thing I love about the 3-point takedown is dual meets. If somebody's pushing for a major, depending on what the score is, it's going to potentially get easier to get that margin of victory. Mm-hmm. Because now if you need a takedown to get a major, you can get 3 points like that. You get 2 takedowns, you get 6 points instead of 4. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see who, like, maybe was on the edge of getting, maybe they weren't going to get major, or they weren't going to get a major. Now they are. There's so many little implications that I think are going to be fun during the season to watch and see where it takes shape.
Mm-hmm.
Are you 100% taking your extra year, by the way? This is going to be your junior year, right?
Yeah, I'll have 2 more.
You have 2 more.
Yeah.
Because your first year was the year everybody, when you graduate, the COVID years are over, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Doing the math, right?
Well,
unless you take an Olympic red shirt.
I also have a red shirt and an Olympic red shirt.
Guys, breaking news: Beau Bartlett has 4 years of eligibility remaining.
So basically, we're really all right. So hypothetically, or maybe not.
we're gonna edit this and cut out the hypothetically.
All right, guys. So this is the plan. Ready? Olympic red shirt this year.
Yep.
Red shirt next year.
Yep.
Come back and wrestle
in 2025.
Yeah, and then wrestle again. Yeah, there we go. Yep. So 2020.
So you are wrestling in 2026, graduating 2027 NCAAs.
Yep, with my undergrad degree.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped for that. Yeah, you don't have to give anything away, but do you know who's going to take an Olympic red shirt? Like, I've talked to a couple of guys who aren't 100% sure. Is that the vibe you're getting? Is that people aren't? Seems like some of them aren't. I'm getting asked questions. Is Brooks, is Carter, are these guys taking Olympic red shirts? It seems like to me, and you don't got to spoil any news, but it seems like to me people aren't 100% certain yet who's doing what.
Full honest, this is okay. I'm being 100% honest. I like you. You're my guy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
This is what I know. You've asked me this. The coaches have asked me this. Other guys on the team have asked me this. No one knows anything.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, so is this guy, is he redshirting or not? I'm like, I don't know. I'll ask him. I look at him like, we'll see. So, like,
by the way, I'm going to write down the podcast title, Beau Bartlett on which PSU guys are taking Olympic red shirts.
So this guy, no.
So, yeah, I don't think a lot of people really know yet. Like, there's a lot of discussion around what the Penn State lineup's going to be this year between the transfers, between potential Olympic red shirts. Like, there's a lot of conversation. And my point to people is like, listen, a lot of it's speculation right now. I don't even think the wrestlers know 100% what they're going to do yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of things at play. Because, I mean, I think outside of it, people just think, oh, are you wrestling folk style? Are you wrestling freestyle? Yep. Are you doing one or the other? But there's so many things. I mean, if you're an Olympic red shirt, you can't take any credits for school. If you're a red shirt, you still have to take credits for school. So you can't really travel as much. In Olympic redshirt, you can travel, but you can't be in certain practices. You can't get certain funding unless you're an RTC member. You can still wrestle freestyle during the folk style year if you want. Just finding a way to make that work. But you can't miss too much class. So there's a lot more things at play versus just like, I'm redshirting. I'm not redshirting.
Right. This also is going to be an interesting year. Willie and I talked about it when we did a show a couple of weeks ago after Final X, because like the 2024 buildup, there's going to be a lot of turnover. There's going to be a lot of retirement. Even look within the LWC, Dake and Taylor both probably done. You know, like you start.
Hey, I don't know. Dake is getting younger every day.
Yeah, Dake the anomaly. Hey, if he's getting younger, he should be wrestling more.
That's what I'm saying.
Hot take.
Right.
Got to wrestle more than twice a year if you're getting younger.
Yeah, like I mean, I understand like wanting to win. This is not towards him, but like I understand peaking. I understand peaking. And see, I understand like even college season we peak, but we're still wrestling like 30 matches a year, which is down from when they were doing 50 to 60. But it's exciting to go and wrestle, go to these international tournaments. Like when I'm a full-time freestyle athlete, I will be competing as often as I can internationally because I like traveling. One, you need that international feel and you need to be able to make weight and wrestle. So if you're doing that twice a year, maybe now these guys are all world champions. I'm not. Most of them are Olympic champs. I'm not. But exactly, wrestling is fun. I want to put on a show. So
there's also like as I have these conversations, because like I get the text like, hey, why didn't David Taylor go to Pan Am's? Why isn't he going to the ranking series? And you kind of like take both sides of the argument. It's like on one hand, we as fans want to see people compete who are the best. But the sport doesn't really incentivize the stars to compete more. It doesn't incentivize the veterans, David Taylor, Kyle Dake, Jordan Burroughs. You know, it doesn't.
I think they are a little bit. You know about the UWW rankings? You do get money for like first, second, third, and it's not off of the world championships.
No,
it's off of
yeah.
So they do incentivize it, but the numbers aren't.
It's on that fence where it's like if you're David Taylor and you're confident that you can beat Yazdani in the quarters, which could happen. As of right now, they're seated in the ranking system 4th and 5th, which I love. I'm all for UWW doing everything they can to incentivize these guys to say, hey, if you want to wrestle in the quarters, go do whatever you want. If you want to actually be seated, come compete. I love that. And I think you got to give credit to Kyle Snyder. That dude will compete in a backyard if there's a referee in a tournament title. I love that. Like, and I love seeing the guys compete more and more. And you also don't know, especially as guys get up in age, you don't know if they're nursing an injury, if they're trying to take it light. So yeah, I get it, but last college question, because I want to talk freestyle a little bit. Last college question. As a Penn State fan, and for those who don't know me, I've told the story. To summarize it, Cal became a client of mine just before he went to Penn State when he was still at Iowa State. When he moved to Penn State, I never went to college. I became a Penn State fan because Cal made me feel like an alumni when I went in the room. So I became a Penn State fan. Lucky for me, I became a Penn State fan at the best time in history because they became one of the most dominant sports franchises in college. But I will admit that when it's not even a competition, it's not as fun to follow the team side of, let's say, NCAAs. When it's like maybe 2018 Penn State, Ohio State, like some of those races, when you have, sorry, Colin Moore, I love him, but I got to bring it up. When you have guys like Moore losing to Kyle Connell and it affects the team race and you're squeezing, that's very fun as a fan. I'm imagining for the athlete, it doesn't matter as much, whether it's a close team race that's more fun or it's a blowout. As an athlete, I got to imagine you don't really care. Do you personally have a preference, though? Like, is it more fun if it's competitive or if it's just a blowout? Like, what would you prefer if you could set the stage for next year?
Well, it is competitive.
Not if it's a blowout, though. Like, if it's like last year, they're literally doing shows and there's literally betting lines on who's going to take second. It's like Penn State assumed to win, and they're now doing like who's going to win second.
Well, here's the thing. Like honestly, okay, I don't think the individual NCAA tournament is it's not the most exciting gauge of finding the team champions, right?
Yeah.
We know that it's an individual tournament and you get team scores and all that stuff. When I'm at NCAAs, I don't think I just think about just me. I can't even think about the other guys. I want them to win, but like the way we're shuttled in and out, and you don't really see you don't even see the whole team most of the time. You're in for weigh-ins and you're out coming at different times because the sessions are so far apart.
Yeah.
It's really just me and normally like me and Shane. Me and Shane, we're just going to the same places. We warm up, I wrestle, he wrestles, we leave, and we just follow that. But I I like duels. I really like duels. Like going to wrestle Iowa, that's fun. Wrestling Ohio State, that's fun. Wrestling all these big teams. Like there's I like wrestling duels. Sometimes it just feels like a match, like almost it's just like a match is cool. Like it's still wrestling, it's still an opportunity to wrestle. But what I really love is the big fan base because we have a big support system. Iowa has a giant support system. Most of the Big Tens have a big support system. Like Cornell, not a Big Ten, big support system. So there are these schools that have a lot of backing and going into their little gym and wrestling and putting it on or bringing them into ours. I love that. I think I like away. I don't know if I like away matches or home matches more. I like going to away matches and kind of stealing fans. And I mean, if you're wrestling hard and after you're taking photographs with all these kids, you're smiling, you're being respectful, they're not going to dislike you. So I think I love stealing people's fans. That's what I really love. So going to away matches. I remember there was this one match, without giving too much. We beat one team. They immediately went out to their locker. One kid was trying to get an autograph, and this one wrestler from their team just smacked his hand away. He was like, no, and walked away. And they were their fans. Like they were their shirts and everything. And I'm just standing around. I'm like, hey, and he like got nervous. And his mom was like, "Can you take a picture?" And we start taking pictures with all their fans, and they loved us. And it was an away match. It was like, so that's what I like.
Yeah.
Stealing fans is probably a simple way to put it, but like that's literally what it is. But building a good connection. I mean, they spent money to get out there, to travel, to attend that, and they're passionate. They're screaming for at least someone out there wrestling. I love that. I love that passion. I have the same passion. So if they're there, I'll connect with them. So I like that.
I like betting on college football. And if I bet on college football, I like betting on the home team because it's more fun. When you're betting on the away team and there's a huge touchdown and the stadium's silent, it's boring. When you're rooting for the home team, that's exciting. In football. In wrestling, I like both equally. I think it's great because sometimes, like, if Penn State's a huge favorite and you're going into Iowa, let's say, Iowa fans get super excited about like the potential of a takedown or if a guy does something good. I like that. Like, I like the underdog being the home team because they get excited for the potential of things. You know, like he's wrestling good. Whereas, like, if you're at home and you're expected to win, I feel like the fans aren't as rowdy.
Yeah, I've noticed another thing. Like, even we're at home and I don't know, I guess expected to win or whatever.
Like they're still excited, but there's that level of like anticipation when the underdog is doing something great that fans love.
Even defensively, like they'll like there's like a pattern. We just know how they wrestle. Like every time someone comes and wrestles at Penn State, they come out, they hit us in the head really hard. Right in the beginning. They hit us in the head really hard and they just back up. They back up. And they try to get to a takedown and they just stop. They stop completely.
Yeah.
And it's been frustrating for so long because like they hit you real hard. It's like, oh, all right, we're about to wrestle. Then they start going backwards. It's like, wait, what? They just wanted to. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, wrestling. I love wrestling. I want to home, away.
Speaking of home away, do you know the Penn State home and away opponents yet? Penn State's the only Big Ten school I think that hasn't like put out a graphic.
I think I saw your graphic, and that's where I heard.
Well, I put out a graphic for Iowa's.
Well, I think, did you put a graphic for like someone? I don't know if it was your graphic or someone compiled a list of graphics, but they said they knew our home and away matches since every other Big Ten release.
I was going to do that today, actually. So I figure step one, let me just ask if you know, because that would save me the time of compiling them.
I saw the graphic. That's the first place.
Shout out the wrestling graphic creators. We are just crushing it.
We're helping the wrestlers know where we're
So you don't know yet, aside from pulling up a graphic?
No.
Okay. I'll pull it up today. I mean, obviously I put out a graphic because I'm on the Iowa media list, which is great because I get like their PR people just email me everything right away. So it was nice. So I saw that Penn State was on their home list. So obviously Penn State at Iowa this year. We'll have to get a graphic going for that. Okay, let's talk freestyle a little bit. Right after the college season, you went out to the US Open. How was that experience? Because you had a 10-10 match with Nicholas Boone Lee. I thought you won. Most thought you won because your hand was raised. So most thought that you won. And then Flo is putting Nick Lee 10-10 on criteria. And so now I'm like, okay, I don't know if I should text either one of you, because if I text the loser, that's like
no, don't worry. Some people did do that.
So I'm like, man, if I text Beau, hey, you won, right? Or if I text Nick, hey, you won, right? So I don't think it was until Nick's, I think they were interviewing him or something, and I saw that. I saw something like that. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, my interview never
Nick
got posted because I did a whole interview too.
No, you did?
Yeah, it was just deleted.
No. Can we find that?
It was like 15 minutes after. So like seriously, it was like right off the map photos, do like the poses for like the graphic interview. Yep. 2 minutes later, I was like,
no. Can Flo Wrestling? I know probably like at least my guy John Kozak is listening to this. Can you post that press conference video with like what Beau would say if he won? What happened right after that match? Like, how did you find out that you actually didn't win the match?
So I was just sitting down. Like 15 minutes later. But no. So immediately after the match, do all that stuff, go back up. Nick and I like talked real quick, like a minute or two. We checked our weights. I was sitting on my phone. Phone's blowing up, going crazy. My phone, like top 3 moments, my phone's like, it was probably like a medal at Junior Worlds. That was like blowing up. That was like the biggest it's blown up. All-American, the second, maybe third. And then that match was either the third or second. Like it was going crazy. And then I looked up Flo Wrestling and I have the text update. So it said Nick Lee VSO, VFO, whatever, win 10-10. And I was like, I guess they clicked the wrong one. Whatever. I'm going around. And then all of a sudden, Coach Kennedy comes up. He's like, hey, gives me the rundown. He's like, they had the scoring wrong. He gave a caution. Table worker gave it to the wrong point. So instead of giving up a push out, you gave up a push out and a caution in one, which instead of making it like 10-9, it was 10-10 and his criteria, but they put on the wrong side. And like, that was like, okay. And
so was that like a quick roller coaster? Like 15 minutes of thinking you're going to Final X, and then you're like,
well, it would have been the finals. That was semi. So it would. I was thinking finals, but I was like, it was mainly. I wasn't even thinking of the senior thing. Well, I mean, obviously I wanted to go there and compete well, but I was excited because I was like, dang, all right, now we're one step closer to locking the U23 spot. Because I was like, you go to the finals, you win that, you're the U23 member automatically. And then, but I forgot there was like a true third. So I was really just thinking, so even if you go to the finals, there's still another one. But there's no one else that was U23. So I think it would have automatically, I was thinking the U23 the whole time. And then I was like, dang. So, U23 spot. I'd have to go to another tournament. I don't care about U23 that much. I want to do seniors now. I'm here. Now, then I was like, as soon as I figured that out, I was like, no, I'm a senior athlete now. I'm not a U23 guy. I'm a senior athlete now. Then I was like, okay. Time to cut some weight. Get ready to wrestle tomorrow.
Sorry, Brooks.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. That's the thing. I keep going back and forth saying, man, going and competing internationally again, that's really awesome. So I go back and forth, but the amount of training, I wouldn't want to like kind of wishy-washy do it. Yeah. If I'm in it, I'm going to be training every day, taking some breaks, training. I've been able to go to Disney World, Arizona, Rehoboth Beach, travel, have a good intensive wrestling summer, which is nice. I think that balance is needed because this upcoming calendar year, this wrestling season, this folk style freestyle into Olympic trials, this is going to be exciting. This will be high paced. So this break right now is necessary.
I'm super excited for it because in my capacity of like covering the sport, and especially like this podcast, I'd say is kind of Penn State centric because I have so many friends and clients at Penn State. And it's like I was telling my wife, I'm like, I don't mind a quiet summer because this next year is going to be crazy, even more so than a normal year going to Olympic year because it's at State College, because of all the Penn State implications, where it's like even 65. I mean, you and Nick, arguably the most competitive match at the U.S. Open at 65. I mean, he went out there and kind of broke McKenna. I think he was trailing and then opened it up. Like
we talked about this. They're like, we don't get tired wrestling anyone unless we're wrestling other like Nittany Lion, Penn State guys.
So it's like you figure even like Penn State alone, you guys are gonna have like you, Zane, Nick, all at 65. Like it's gonna be a fun year. It's gonna be a very busy year. But speaking of you, Nick, Zane, like what is that dynamic like in the room? Like what I don't think some people realize is that like, especially like I know Zane's a good friend too, but like I spend a lot of time talking to you, a lot of time talking to Nick. You guys are very happy people and you're very much like rooting for each other. Like it's not this bitterness where one of you wins and then it's like, screw you, man. Like there's a genuine happiness for each other, but there's also a competitiveness. You guys, whether it's dodgeball, wrestling, whatever, there's a competitiveness to you. What is that dynamic like heading to the Olympic year, especially where you have everybody kind of starting to go into these other weights?
I mean, I think it's really respectful. It's cool. Zane is he's like that. He's that cool older guy, a lot of technique. He trains really hard. I love watching all his matches. He's pretty inspiring. Family man, you know. I don't know if his wife is pregnant or if he has a kid.
Which one, Zane?
Yeah.
Zane has a baby about 6 months ago now.
Yeah. See, I'm behind. See, that's the next guys. The Nittany Lion guys hang out. There's like those next older guys in the club.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They all have kids. Most of them have kids. All those the Nittany Lion guys like all have kids, except for Nick, I think. Essentially, more or less.
Yeah, Nick doesn't have a kid yet. Snyder did quietly have a kid. Like Snyder doesn't really do social media. Like Rudis is a lot of his social media, but Snyder had a baby.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was talking to Nolf one day, and he was talking about, even on the podcast, he said it. We was talking about how Snyder uses his new baby as an excuse not to play Nolf and ping pong. And I'm like, wait, Snyder had a baby?
Like, yeah. So I don't know, but that's really cool. All those guys. See, that's the thing. It's a lot of family people, so that's really inspiring. Even Nick, he's like an entrepreneur, so he has his clothing line. That's really cool. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
The law school, it's a group of ambitious, grounded people, and I think that's why we'll get along well.
Yeah, I love it. And you guys got to have that like iron sharpen iron mentality, I'd imagine, over this next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. I don't think it's like intense. It really feels laid back. I don't know. It feels laid back all the time. Going and training. Maybe it's because the coaches, the environment, they've gotten so used to having multiple guys at the same weight. Like, I mean, shoot, you have Nolf and Dake, you had Aaron and David, you have all these guys.
Carter joining one of those two groups.
Carter, yeah, it's just another day. I think if you're too focused on the other guy, you're not going to be able to get better yourself. So I'm really not focused on beating anyone. Like, that's just my personal mindset. I'm fully not focused on beating anyone. I am enjoying this. I'm having a lot of fun, and people throw that around a lot, but I can break down what it means to have fun. People have different forms of fun, but I think if you want to know what it means to have fun at Penn State, have fun when you're wrestling, have fun doing what you do. If I woke up every day doing this for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. This is what I want to do. I put in hours to get here, and there's hours that are going to come after, but this is just what I want to do. And if I were to go wrestle anyone in a dark room, no referee, I'd still do it. If I were to wrestle, and if I personally had to pay to wrestle each wrestling match, I would do it. Like, this is really fun for me. I love it. So being competitive, that's what I also have. So it's not just lackadaisical going and, all right, let's see what happens. No, I want to win. I want to win, but I'm not focused on beating other people. I'm focused on being exciting, doing all kinds of nice, crazy moves, techniques, being athletic, because I believe that is my route to success. No one can beat me and be more athletic on a wrestling mat. Maybe Roman, but other than that, I'll do that.
A Roman Beau catchweight match would be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be a super fun match. Speaking of growing and being athletic, let's talk about content a little bit, because I haven't ran the numbers, but I got to assume you have the fastest growing Instagram account in wrestling. I'm not sure anybody has grown more in a smaller period of time than you have, because it felt like yesterday I was congratulating you the minute you hit 100,000, and you're like, you got to chill until I hit like 101, because if a couple people unfollowed, you put out and you put out the 100 too soon, like, and now now you're at 150.
Almost.
Yeah, well, 146. You're cruising. So, what do you think? And for those not paying attention, like, you got to go follow Beau. He's crushing it. What do you think you've learned the most in this process of growing your Instagram to a large following?
Okay, so when people say fake it till you make it?
Yep.
Don't do that. Do not do that. Like, in the sense, and what I mean by that is don't try to do extra things. Like, if you're filming a vlog or the day in your life, whatever you're filming, don't be someone else and try to copy someone and do things that you don't normally do to show people and try to get clicks, follows, likes, rethreads. Nobody does retweets anymore. That's lame. Rethreads.
Threads is the topic coming soon.
Yeah. I think for me, just doing what I do and finding your niche. My niche is I'm athletic, and I'm the smiley guy. I smile and I'm athletic. So figuring out how many different things I can do with that, being genuine, being a smiley guy. I'm not going to go punch someone in the face, but maybe I don't know. Shoot, I don't know how that relates to anything, but I'm not going to go punch someone in the face. So finding your niche, doing it consistently, doing it well, and making an effort to set up the camera, film it, edit it, post it. I've experimented with getting videographers, getting photographers, getting an editor. Now I'm doing it all myself. I just like iPhone quality content, videography, like real stuff, just mixing it, find out what works for you. And flips, I've been doing flips for like my whole life. And I'm on vacation, I do a little flip at the beach, wrestling room flip. I'm in opposing wrestling rooms, do a little flip, whatever I really want, finding out what I do. And just now the tricky thing is, I will say, in wrestling, I think I'm known as like that flippy guy, but sometimes I don't even like posting some of the flips because I want to do like crazier things. People are still amazed by backflips somehow. I go to these wrestling camps because I do a backflip, do a front flip. I can just rip those easily, right? So for me, I like to see them happy, but I don't want to post a video of me doing a backflip, because now that I've gotten deep into this, I've learned about tricking and parkour and people that really do this. Like, this is what they do. The way I wrestle, that's what they do. And they're doing like triple backflips, round off, double backflip, gainers, all kinds of crazy, absurd things that I'm not even close to. So it's kind of cool. As long as I stay in the wrestling niche, it's really cool. As soon as I get out of there, people are like, oh, that trick is terrible.
Well, my favorite that you've done recently, a couple of weeks ago, you did the one that you said, I don't know how much of this is just clickbait, but you said you accidentally did something cool.
Yeah.
You did that side flip, and I'm like, what the heck was that? It looks like some Jean-Claude Van Damme move.
Yeah. Like, actual trickers were commenting on this. Like, I fully thought I was trying to do, what's called a touchdown rise, which is essentially you do a back handspring, but you twist into it. You go forward, twist, and hit a back handspring towards you. And I used the wrong hand, and I twisted a little extra. And all of a sudden, apparently, I got a bunch of comments saying, oh, that's
the Sailor Moon.
That's a Sailor Moon. It's a Sailor Moon. Obviously, it's a Sailor Moon. Yeah, we learned, like, everyone that was tricking knew that. So it's kind of cool. Things I'm just messing around with. These guys they're about it. They know what they're doing. And so they kept, sounds like, oh yeah, Sailor Moon. Yeah, sure. So that's cool. I
What
like
do you,
doing it.
what's one thing you kind of alluded to it with quality of content and the, trying professional versus doing it yourself. What's one thing though that you think that hasn't worked well, you've abandoned? Because a lot of people, I feel like they don't, one thing will fail. And where I've given you a lot of credit is I think your consistency. People ask me about a podcast all the time. And I'm like, listen, do it, but commit to 20 episodes. Even if the first 4 suck, commit to 20, 30 episodes, whatever it is, because consistency is so important. And a lot of times what stops people from consistency, apart from just effort, is trying something that doesn't work. And you have to abandon that sometimes and then go back and try something else or try something original. What's one thing that maybe hasn't worked that you've abandoned along the way?
That I fully abandoned or abandoned? I'm like, okay. So the professional videographer, so it was amazing. Danny, or his name's Danny. He films most of David Taylor's stuff.
Yep.
He's amazing. Like this dude, his videos are cracked. I don't know if you know what cracked like there. It's top of the line. Like it's fire. And we filmed one and I looked at the video. I was like, this is it. This is going viral. This is the best one I've ever made. I was doing some flips. I was doing some wrestling. He was panning the camera around, doing all kinds of transitions, slow-mo, sped. Like, it was crazy. And then all of a sudden we posted it and it got, I think, like a 1% engagement rate or something like that. And I was like, what? I was so confused. So I think I'm gonna have to revisit it eventually, but the trade-off on getting a videographer, because that one would be like free because we collaborated on like a post. I want to do more, right? Then you start paying for a videographer. And I was like, man, X amount of dollars to do a video that might not even work. And you want to keep the high engagement rate, high followers, high likes, so that brands see that number and they'll pay you a certain amount of money for that. And this is just skewing it down. So it's money in the drain, but it's a nice video. I like it, but what can I do? So maybe next time I do that, just focused on some more storytelling so that that video can stand alone by itself. And it's not so much about trying to play with my numbers and make sure I can meet these metrics, but more so just like, this is a nice video. This is what's happening. I think I could utilize him or a nice videographer. I have a great group of friends that video stuff, and maybe utilize that for a dual meet. Maybe a day, a home match. Wake up, what am I doing? Stuff like that, where it's a little bit more behind the scenes, still the high quality, but giving more content, more sustenance like within it. And I think that will work. So we'll see this year.
I have a good number of consultations, conversations, whatever you want to call them, with a lot of like younger wrestlers. I got one coming up soon with a new Nittany Lion. Told me talk a little bit, but a lot of wrestlers want advice on building their brand. And, I think we're far enough into it where they've seen people have success and they've seen people fail, and they know that there's strategy involved. There's, you mentioned being authentic. You mentioned being genuine. Those are all things I agree with. What is your advice to young wrestlers coming up? And a lot of them maybe see your platform and think, I want that too. What's your advice to them?
I think make sure. So I think that there's dangers of social media, right? I think know what you want to get out of it. Don't post I don't know, driving a car with your phone out the window, vlog. Like, don't do things that are like dangerous or silly, dumb things that, one, it's probably not safe. Two, your parents will like, what's going on here? Or college coaches will not like stuff. Like certain things, be careful of that. But if you're posting things that are making you smile, post things that showcase what you're doing, that's very, very important. Let's say you're working out like Beau Bartlett, dude's killing it. I wish I was posting on social media back then.
He's doing so good.
He's like the blueprint, and he's not just posting, he has brand deals too. So he is so far ahead of this, and that's impressive. And I know him. He's a cool guy, cool kid, and he can't stop my grilled cheese though. So I hope he hears that. but he's a really, but awesome. He's really good. And I think just posting the stuff that you're okay with being on the internet forever, because everything you post is somewhere. It doesn't matter if you like, people can screenshot, screen record, post things that you're okay, post things that you want to be on the internet forever. And maybe you're just documenting stuff because you want to look back on it. It's like a digital photo album. Maybe it's just that, or maybe you want to find a way to utilize NIL, or down the line, you want to find a way to do that. Start setting the foundations, posting your content, finding your niche. Maybe you're a guy that runs. Maybe I've heard so many. Maybe you're my cousin. He just got 5th at nationals for yo-yoing. He's an amazing yo-yo. If you look at the yo-yo community, he's giant. Like he is a celebrity in the yo-yo community. He's been in some music videos. So finding your niche. If you're a wrestler and you yo-yo, start posting those yo-yo videos. If you're, I don't know, let's say you're a 2-sport athlete, post what you're doing. Maybe you're a wrestler and a swimmer. Go wrestle in a swimming pool, then go on a wrestling mat and start doing some like breaststroke. Like do something funny or whatever it is. If you're a serious guy, motivate some other people. Little vlog, like a slow document. Maybe you're lifting at 6 a.m. Drop that saturation, drop that exposure, throw some words on the screen, talk about what you're thinking about, what lift you did. It's easy. You just got to actually do it. It's not hard to do one video. And if you do one, you'll get the hang of it and start doing 2, then 3. Just set up the camera, do what you want. Look at the camera, look away from the camera, just film it.
I'd also add too, I think one thing that people like about yours is that you're not sitting there and PRing yourself. A lot of athletes, a lot of individuals, entrepreneurs, whoever, they PR themselves. And I think there's a time and a place for showcasing your credibility, showcasing who you are, but be authentic and genuine. And like you said, if you love yo-yos, post yo-yo content. If you love food, post food content. Like the more inside, people don't want to just see you walking into a wrestling room every day. People don't just want to see you with like a cheesy motivational quote. There's a time and a place
how good the camera is, what filter you use, it'll work once. It will work once.
Yep.
But they're not going to come back and follow you to watch you walk in the wrestling room every day.
Yeah, like you can incorporate that into your overall strategy, but too many people are trying to PR themselves way too hard. And it's like, number one, you're just not that important that you need to do this. And even if you look at the best guys,
the title, you're just not that important.
No, like I tell that to any athlete that I talk to. No, I don't care what their audience is. Like you're not that important that you have to PR yourself. And you can go and look at some of the biggest American athletes out there. Go look at Tom Brady's. He's posting a quick video. He's posting, a lot of people like to protect their feeds, I hear. I got to protect my feed. I don't know if I can post that. Go look at Tom Brady. 14 million followers. Will post a random picture of his mom for Mother's Day. We'll post a product shop. He's definitely working in the PR stuff. He's got a professional cameraman, like posting shots of him walking to a plane. But then it's also like a quick behind the scenes video. It's also, like real substance. So I think just the consistency and showcasing who you are and trying stuff out. Like you and I had to be 2 of the first people to join Threads.
Yeah.
We were on there all night. And I'm already
with like 15 million, their number, because it's on your Instagram now.
Yeah.
I see people like 15 million. I think they're at 100 million or something. It's something crazy now. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm in the 2 millions, which is still big, but relatively.
I think I'm in the 2 millions too, because we got in like around the same time. I'm already over Threads, by the way. I
was posting every thought that came to mind the first 2 days, like
correct.
And I'm gonna get back into it because I like it. Because I don't like Twitter because my age isn't on Twitter really. Like I would always tell people, so I'm on everything really. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on it all. I tell people I have a Facebook. Like, why do you have Facebook? Now, granted, my Facebook gets 10 likes, and one of them, like 7 of them, are my family. But It's really, I'd like to see my dad's Facebook post. Really, that's probably the main thing. My dad has a really cool Facebook. He's like almost an influencer. No, seriously, you should. I don't know if you have my dad on Facebook. He is a Facebook influencer.
What's his name?
Andre,
I'm gonna
Andre. He is a Facebook influencer. It's pretty cool. Him, and my mom, they're always traveling around.
him driving. That's the
It
profile
probably
picture.
changes it every day. No, he is like,
All right, I'm gonna add him.
he's pretty cool. So I'm on Facebook. People are like, why are you on Facebook? I'm like, I wanted to play Farmtown back in the day. So I had to make a Facebook to get on Farmtown. And so that's how I got that. And then I'm on Twitter and people are like, I'm always a few years behind. So I was on, well, I guess I'm going back generations, right? I was on Facebook when you had to be probably like 30 plus.
What about Vine?
I had Vine. I had it. I had all these things. I'm on Twitter, but Threads has like that nice, like 24 and under group added onto it.
Yeah.
Everyone's on it now. So I like Threads because I can talk and my jokes aren't, I can just say things and people aren't going to respond. Shouldn't you be in the wrestling room? Or
so I like Big Cat. You know who Big Cat is? Barstool guy.
Yeah.
So he put it a good way. He said they rolled it out at the right time because it was the 4th of July week, no sports, nothing going on. So everybody hopped on. Unfortunately, so many brands hopped on that like I open it up and it's weird because like I'm a Twitter guy. That's probably my biggest platform. And it's all of a sudden weird that all these Instagram people who maybe they don't even know the wrestling side of me. Like my Instagram is a lot of like me and my son. Like that's what a lot of it is. Like my wife will take a great picture of us and I'll post it. Like that's a lot of my Instagram. So a lot of these people don't even know the wrestling side of me. Where on Twitter, I'm like 98% wrestling. And now it's like the merger of the worlds. But I open up Threads and I'm not seeing like you, my friends. I'm seeing Slim Jim asking if you like meat. I'm seeing all these companies. Like that was my last thread, I think. Is I quote tweeted Slim Jim. And I'm like, what are we doing here with everybody? Like, I get it the first couple of days we were all doing it. Now it's like, okay. And like even the suggested content, like I'm a Republican Christian male and I'm seeing liberal content. I'm seeing like cover girl, like makeup content. It's like,
you don't want to
it couldn't be it couldn't be farther from the spectrum of like suggesting content that would feed into my wheelhouse. And I'm like, this has got to stop. Like, because I'd open the app up and I'm seeing the antithesis of content that I want to see. So I like the concept.
Following tab is coming. I saw that. They're saying that. I think that should be the first thing they rolled out, though. Following tab, or even a chronological order tab. It's just right now, it's that weird. I don't like this. I don't like suggested feeds. I don't like that at all. For anyone.
If you're going to do a suggested feed, make it like Instagram. They know suggestions really well because you don't even have to like a piece of content. If you view it, like I'll read a caption on, like I like some wine accounts on Instagram and I'll be reading a caption and next thing you know, in my For You page or my Explore page, whatever you want to call it, it's endless photos of wine. And I'm like, I didn't even like that post. I just looked at it and they know. They know based on the length of time you're looking at it that it engaged you. So we have to move closer in that direction. One question for you. I watched a great interview with Josh Allen. He was on Bussin' with the Boys. I love Josh Allen. I don't know that I have a man crush on him, but I love the guy. He's awesome. And in the off season, he's super focused on golf. He's basically a professional golfer in the off season. And he said that the last 2 years that in the off season, he came into training camp without lifting at all in the off season, and he tested super high. And he's convinced that being distracted, disconnecting from football actually helps him. For you, I'm curious, your focus on building a brand and creating content and doing things that are not just wrestling centric. How has that been for you? You clearly, the first half of this episode at a minimum was your passion for wrestling on display. It's not hard to find.
Yeah.
But this is a nice disconnect. Like you and I were working on t-shirts and like
which sold out. in like a day.
You see now the process of how much time's involved in that. Like
Yeah, shipping
shipping them
those out
out.
individually. Oh man.
Yeah. So how are you balancing that side of it with, especially as you head into the season in a couple of months, not getting distracted by brand, which I feel like coaches now are getting more used to it. Initially, it's like, don't do that. You're going to be too distracted. Now there's more of a realization that you have to balance it.
Exactly. So I was actually thinking about this a couple days ago. And for me, for a long time I was wrestling to get famous, to get followers and get likes. And I thought like get rich or something like that. It didn't even make
Heck
sense.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I realized I wasn't wrestling to get rich from a young age, but I was like wrestling. I wanted to,
Yeah.
I wanted to have big trophies. I wanted to have cool photos to post. I wanted to be cool. And then I realized reality hit and I was like, dang, like these guys are national champions with 7,000 followers. I'm like, it doesn't just happen. You don't just get followers. If you wait to get all of your social media clout from winning a wrestling tournament, it's never going to amount to much because wrestling is already a small niche sport. And then on top of it, when you win, there's going to be a bunch of other champs at different weights. And there's people like, it's just too small. If you're trying to get famous from wrestling, it's not going to work. If you want to get money, not get a couple $100. If you want to live a good life, not crazy. If you want to live a decent living, it's not just going to come from wrestling. It's not, the money's not there. The sport's not there. It's unfortunate, but you need to figure something else. Maybe if you're a wrestler and you're the greatest wrestler of all time, and then you go on to coach in Pennsylvania or something like that, like wrestling can be everything and it can work and you can live it. That's awesome. Like that would be ideal personally, but
Yeah.
I found that through social media, if I'm posting more, I just get more followers, I get more likes, and it's my creative output. I get to post things, brands, companies reach out, go back and forth. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It works, bam, you get some money, you get to post more, doing things I already love to do. Now I'm making money for it. And then by doing that, now the pressure of wrestling to make people happy is gone.
Mhm.
The pressure of wrestling to be famous is gone. The pressure of wrestling to make money is gone because there's other outlets to. If you want to get famous, you can get famous. If you want followers, you can get followers. If you want to make money, you can make money in other ways. And that's taken off my demands from wrestling. So now I am wrestling as my hobby. That might be an understatement, but I'm trying to, and like that might be the wrong word. That's the wrong word, but well, I said it.
It's a passion of yours though. Yeah, but
it's my passion. It's not my job. It's not my
yeah.
job. It was my passion. It's my biggest passion, like activity wise, not other than outside like family, relationships, girlfriend, all that. Like activity wise, it's my
Dog.
biggest. Yeah, dog, Pippi, wherever he's at.
The other thing too that's, I've always tried to stress to athletes, especially wrestlers, winning in relation to growing a brand it should be the gas in the fire.
Yeah.
Your fire can't just be winning because number one, what happens is if somebody starts to follow you because you won, that's kind of like an introduction. Now you have to give them correct. Now you have to, if somebody follows you because you win a tournament, show them more. The biggest mistake people make is they get a bump in a growth because they won a tournament, but they don't do anything. Well, these people are following you because they want to see more. So if you're only posting once a month, whatever, it doesn't do anything. People aren't following you just to check a box. They're following you because they want more content. And when you win, you should always see a bump in relevance, but that's when they should like scroll through. And also there's people that, let's say you win something and somebody wants to follow you. What's happening, I think, more now too, is they're coming and looking at your page and be like, oh yeah, I definitely got to follow this person. Or it's like, oh, all they do is advertise to me. I don't need to follow them. Like they're looking at your feed before they follow you. So the more content you have, they're like, oh, this is definitely a cool follow. Give them more incentive. Now maybe you get 20,000 new followers instead of 10,000. Yeah. Like the consistency part of it, so many people miss out on. There's a huge difference. I won't name names, but there's a huge difference when two people win the same tournament and take very different paths or have very different outcomes. How you react to the last one will sometimes matter versus like this isn't shade at him, but Nick Soriano, he's had like 110, 120,000 followers for 5 years.
Yeah.
He's going backwards with his content. He has now recently deleted every post on his Instagram. So it's like here you went from tens of thousands of followers to almost 150,000. So if you don't want to be on social, don't be on social.
You don't have to be. There's no wrong or right thing to do. But if you want to be on social media, you might as well do it right.
Right. You might as well be on it. And you don't have to force anything. Like, I think you do a good job of like keeping it fun. And I think if you were miserable doing what you're doing, I don't think you'd do it. So I think loving it is definitely, because they're like Levi Haynes, for example, doesn't post too often. I know he's on the app because he's engaging with me and I see him on it, but he's not creating a lot of content. Whereas like Levi comes out, has an amazing season last year. People want to see more. People want to see what his off season's like. People want to see him fishing and doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
I actually got to have Levi. I got to message him. People want me to have him on. And
Even
I said,
sorry. But Shane,
no, go ahead.
Shane Van Ness rock climbs like every day. Crazy things. Like, I think I don't know what it's called. Like, no, sometimes it's with a rope, sometimes it's just not. And I'm not saying a mountain. He's not climbing a mountain, but like there's this place where he lives and it's this wall and it's like, it's bricks and it's like slanted a little bit. So each brick is just a little bit further back, a little bit. He has his climbing shoes. He has his chalk on, and he put on Snapchat. You'll see him like climbing up, like sideways, upside down, hanging from his feet. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like,
isn't it funny how people only post? Isn't it funny how somebody like that will post that on Snapchat or TikTok or whatever, but not Instagram? It's funny.
Like,
that's
this. Like, I love it. I screen recorded it because I wanted to watch it again.
Well, and that's another thing I tell people is like, don't focus too much on one account. Like, try to have, like, people are asking about threads. I'm like, listen, open an account. If you grow followers, let it grow. You never want to have all your eggs in one basket. It's good to have at least an established account, even if you're not creating content everywhere the same amount, but creating content on different platforms helps you because you don't know where people are searching. And like you mentioned with Twitter, the age demographics varies so much from platform to platform. And I'm sure you can see the content vary, or not the content, the engagement in the interactions vary so much. I'm excited. So what's next for you now? It's the dead of summer. You're doing a lot of flips. You're going on vacation. You're going to a lot of camps. What's next for Beau Bartlett?
I got practice at 1:30 over at M2. So Ninny line practice. We just got some new mats, so we got to stay off the mats for a bit. After that, right now, I think it's that little relaxed period. I'm not doing much right now. I'm doing camps, doing practice. Just got back from vacation. We've been traveling a good bit. I don't think we got much now. Might figure out a place to go at the beginning of August, whether it's a camp or if that's a vacation.
Are you looking for a camp to host you? Do you want to use this platform to plug?
I'll plug too, but the main thing is we had one guy reach out down in Miami, but I have a really good friend up in New York City who I might just go see. We'll see what I do during that August bit. Still trying to figure it out. A lot of different options. So right now, but
do you want to do some pool flips? I mean, if you're going to New York City, come up north to, Rochester. We can do some cool pool content. I got 10 acres of land. Maybe do some flips out of some trees.
I saw most of the process. I saw like digging the pool. I saw putting some color. I think you put some color in at one point, maybe.
In the pond. The pond has
that was the pond, not the pool. I remember I saw it all. I was like, this is like those home improvement shows. I was like, this is like, that was cool.
I know some people, like, there's a lot of people who loved when I was sharing the process more. And then when I did it, they're like, yo, can I get an update? Like, what's going on behind the pool? What's going on? I'm like, well, if you ask me, then I think about it. I'm like, because if there's a lot of people on like Instagram that, and I'm guilty of it too. You'll watch something for 100 days in a row And when you don't see it on the 101st, you're like, where is this? Well, did you say anything? Did you say you love this podcast? Did you say you love, like, did you comment?
You did
No.
engage. I disengaged. That was
right. That's that. So tip for all the listeners, if you're watching this and you like it, let us know. If you're enjoying Beau's content, let him know. Engage with what you want to see, and it should be fun. You do got to come up here soon, though, whatever the hole in your schedule is, because there's a lot of I have some ideas that I don't want to spoil on here because it's got to be a surprise. But I actually think the fall's going to be busy. I think Beau's coming up here to hunt. I think Roman's going to come up here soon. So it's gonna be fun. I've got some content ideas that I'm not going to spoil. You have to tune into the show. So you're chilling, and then come like a couple months from now, September-ish, you're in it for a while. Yeah.
I feel like I've gotten a lot better at wrestling this past few months. It's without competing. I think so that's why I like this break. I've gotten so much more confident in myself from NCAAs and the Open. Yeah. And I've been wrestling a lot. I've been wrestling a lot, but not intense. Like, haven't done any live in a while, other than like live with kids at camps, which then I'm just trying techniques. But I've been watching a lot of wrestling, thinking about a lot of wrestling, and I've improved in a lot of different positions just because I haven't had the stress of trying to fight someone or trying to win something. I've been able to just dive into wrestling at a technical aspect, try to get better at it. And it's like a game, like I was saying earlier. I'm getting better at the game. And when it's time to fight, coming up, I'll bring the fight with my new elevated game. So I'm excited for that.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see. I like that you're ranked, let's say, third-ish going into the season. It's almost more fun to root for somebody who's like ranked third, fourth, fifth to win than like rooting for. I love Aaron Brooks. I'm rooting for him to win a fourth, but like rooting for the number one guy every single match you're supposed to win. It's fun to sometimes root for the underdog. It's like,
I know, that's why I say people were putting money on the guy Beau was fighting, $10 just in case. Like, still,
I know. So, all right, I'm excited. Any final words before I let you go here?
Final words. What are my final words? Nah, just have fun. Have a good day. Thanks for having me again. You're a cool guy.
Of course, man. I love having you on here. I know sometimes people get annoyed because they think that this is just like 60 minutes and they don't want me to talk. They're here for you. And I'm like, but dude, it's Baschamania.
Yeah, if you want to hear me talk, go look at my Instagram. This is a collaboration.
Correct. I used to, when I started this podcast, I used to like label out of the episodes like a conversation with so-and-so, a conversation with. It's fun having a dialogue and having these conversations. Like our conversation for a couple hours in Newark was, I'm like, oh, we should do that like on air, at least half of it. There's a lot of good stuff that we can't say. Like I'll leave out the whole like forum screen name. Like there's a lot of stuff that we can't really dive into.
Forums. If they don't like this, they are on the forums. I'll say that.
Yes. If
you
they
guys, you know about it. You think we don't know? We all know. Relax.
Yeah. All right. People on the forums. Like I love what Dave Portnoy did. Dave Portnoy had his Dave Portnoy show where he did a lot of like behind Barstool stuff. And they were so sick of the Reddit haters because like Barstool has a massive Reddit thread. So they finally, let's just get somebody on here. So they got one of the Reddit like people who's always complaining. And he was the guy who came out was like, he was true to himself and his complaints, but it was such a different tone.
Mm-hmm.
It was so like they basically said that Dave Portnoy sold out. It's like, well, yeah, he did sell his company for hundreds of $1 million. He literally sold out. That's what happens when you grow a company. But yeah, come on, forum people. Be nice. Life's too short. You see Beau smiling? Try it sometime. Just smile. It's like Willie loves the forums. Willie loves the mud of the forums. He'll tell me that he's arguing with people for hours. I'm like, Willie. He's like, listen, I'm sitting at the bar. I'm having a beer, and I'm arguing with internet people. I love this life. I'm like, whatever makes you happy, man.
If you're going to be on the forums, I think they should have at least one, no more aliases. Government name, Government name by every post, profile picture too.
So I did see Elon Musk made a good point that the reason he wants to keep people anonymous on Twitter is there is a group of cancel culture losers who, if they disagree with you and they have your real name, they will call your school, they will call your employer, they will call your family, they will look up your address. So there is a rational, but there's a difference.
Yeah. You can't get canceled if you don't say anything problem. I mean, sometimes there's some gray area, right? But
Totally.
I understand I understand that.
But I think there's a difference of people who go online and they don't kind of like, I've watched some wrestling people slowly go away from the real name because they just want to be able to have their opinions and not get canceled or have it have it impact their real lives. There's other people who hide because they're cowards. They're two very different directions.
Okay.
Like there's some people who do it to hide because they're a coward. There's other people who do it. It's like, listen, I just want to have a good time on here. And if I say that I disagree with you, I don't want you calling my employer. There are two very different directions people take when not having the real name.
Yeah, I made a tweet the other day, and it was something about last time on this app for a while, or you'll know where to find me. And some guy said, like, hopefully in the wrestling room training to win a title. I was like,
I saw that. The Threads joke was just right over the head.
I was like, okay.
I saw it. Well, there's you do forget who you're dealing with sometimes with the internet.
I'm off Twitter because they don't get my jokes.
Like you forget who you're dealing with, and it's like I always tell them that you gotta understand. It's like going on Twitter is like walking into a random bar in a random city where you know nothing about nobody. Do you think every conversation you're going to have is going to be the most intelligent? Like, there's a lot of great people on Twitter. There's also a lot of losers on Twitter. It's just the nature of the internet. The internet is a beast.
Yeah.
All right, Beau. That's all I got. If you guys enjoyed this, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, do whatever you do for content that you enjoy. Yeah, give it a double thumbs up. All right. Also, be sure to follow Beau. He's linked up in the description to this podcast, I'm sure. Beau, we'll do this again soon, man.
Sweet.
And the beat goes on.